New York City is up for some big trouble, especially with Zoran Mamdani being the mayor. He's making some big changes. So let's check out what's going on in New York City.
You have vehemently different views on the war in Iran.
Absolutely. I'm deeply opposed to the war. I think it's something that should be opposed not just on a political level or an economic level, but frankly a moral level. We're talking about spending close to $30 billion to kill thousands of people an ocean away, while we're told that we don't have even an ounce of that money to help working class Americans across this country.
Have you spoken to him specifically about that?
It's no secret of how I feel about the Iran war. The president and I are very honest about those disagreements, and I'll give you another example.
But I know it's no secret that how you feel because you've told us, but have you two had a conversation about that specific issue?
We've had a conversation about a number of issues, and that includes our disagreements on foreign policy. And I'll keep the frequency and the nature of those conversations private because that's the premise of them. But I will tell you that in those conversations, it is one that is driven by actually being candid.
You have vehemently different.
Interesting.
Do you think it's possible a democratic socialist platform can translate into something that's electorally viable in a statewide election or a national election, given that, according to Gallup, many older and rural voters still have issues with the label socialist?
You know, what I find is that New Yorkers ask me less about how I describe my politics and more about whether my politics includes them. And I think what we can see is that a democratic socialist politics is one that should be judged on its delivery, like any ideology. And what we're showing in this city is we can pursue the big things like universal child care and do the pothole politics at the same time that we're showing, and not just filling in the potholes, changing the catch basins, but also repaving over 1,000 miles of roadway.
But Mr. Mayor, presidential and statewide elections are often decided in battleground regions that do not look like New York City.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. Before I was the mayor, I was an assembly member of Astoria in Long Island City. At that time, I was told that you could only be a democratic socialist in Northwest Queens. Then I became the mayor. Now the next question is the state. Then the next question will be the country. I think that this is a politics that can flourish anywhere because, frankly, there is only one majority in this country. That's the working class. And it's time we have a politics that puts them at the heart of what it is that we're pursuing and not as part of the appendix. I'll always leave it to New York.
Zoran Mamdani just announced a second home tax. This is a policy that sounds great on paper, tax the rich, but will hurt New York. No, it's pretty simple. People who own a property worth over $5 million in New York City will get a yearly surcharge in addition to their property taxes if that property is not their primary residence. Have you ever considered that rich people in New York City already pay more in taxes than anywhere in the nation? But that's not who this new tax will target, which is approximately 13,000 homes owned by people who buy up New York City property just to visit a few times a year. Therefore, they're not paying those New York City income taxes. But they already pay property taxes, and the real issue is the New York City budget is by far the largest in the nation. And rather than making do with what he has and trying to make government more efficient, instead Zoran has a $5.4 billion deficit he has to fill, and this tax may get $500 million. But it's obvious New York doesn't have an undertaxing problem. They have the highest taxes in the nation. They have an overspending problem. Well, budget issues were there well before Zoran. One reason is despite New York having more billionaires than any other city, many of them avoid paying New York City taxes because they deceptively only live in the city for like a day under 6 months so they can claim residency somewhere else. This is an obvious loophole that this tax works to solve. But this will only decrease demand for New York City real estate, which will slow development. Slow development for homes over $5 million? I think we can work with that. You obviously don't understand the economics of filtering. When developers build new luxury units, the wealthy people who move in vacate older units elsewhere, and then the people just below them can now afford those slightly older units, which frees up their previous units for people below them, and so on all the way down the income ladder. Over time, yesterday's luxury becomes today's middle-class housing. So anything that discourages luxury development, including taxing high-end properties, can freeze the whole chain and actually hurt affordability for regular New Yorkers. Okay, but that whole filtering argument breaks apart when people buying up luxury property are from out of state. They aren't vacating anything, but they're adding demand for luxury that encourages development. Development of luxury apartments. That creates filtering. No, because a mansion on Millionaires Row built 20 years ago is not filtering down. It's worth 2 times more today than then. This tax is about disincentivizing empty apartments that do nothing but decrease housing supply for actual New Yorkers. And this plan has support of state and city legislators as it's common sense. It's not common sense to think the highest tax city in the nation needs to find every possible tax it's not doing yet. Have fun losing more people to Palm Beach. These people this tax targets already don't live here. Here? You're in a Motel 6 in Austin, bud. In my head, I'm in her arms.
Get him the f*** out of here.
When I ran for mayor,
Mamdani, I'll give you a C, brother.
How would you rate Mamdani's 100 days with these ratings?
Okay, what are these New Yorkers saying?
the free childcare. That's really a big thing. I work in education, so it's very important to me.
Mamdani, I'll give you a C, brother. I'm getting taxed for every single thing that we do every single day. Groceries, clothing, everything. Everything is just tax and tax and tax. Just look out for the working class.
I would give him a grade pending. I voted for him. I don't know yet what he's gonna do. I hope it's something great. It's still just like 100 days into the ordeal, so.
I'm still waiting for the bus to be free. It's still kind of free if you go on in the back, but I thought that was going to be happening by now.
Él es una persona excelente porque nos ha demostrado que no solamente está para cumplir los sueños de otros, sino del pueblo al que él es mandante.
The first snowstorm was pretty rough. He did better the second time. But I think he's doing great. I'm a fan.
What do you want him to improve? Is it cost of living, immigration, safety? What do you think you matter most?
Housing, groceries, everything. We need to freeze the rent. We need to at least lower the cost. The landlords, they gotta stop bothering communities. I mean, tenants.
Yeah, I'm hearing about rent-free stuff. That would be cool.
Do you think she likes Mamdani?
I think so. She's a pretty.
100 days in.
Well, if you're in New York City and you plan on celebrating the 250th anniversary of America, good luck. Mayor Zohran Mamdani with the New York City Parks Department just adopted an emergency rule that takes effect April of 2026 and allows for the denial of new permits for any, quote, special events on park property and also extends to large gatherings in areas like Times Square from June 11th to July 19th of 2026. The stated reason is that the NYPD resources will be heavily strained by the FIFA World Cup, with matches being held between July 1 through 9. Officials cited risks to public safety, overtime costs, and division from regular policing duties. Mamdani himself has come out and clarified that small gatherings like picnics or birthday parties will be, most of the time, unaffected, and only large permanent events needing police support are going to be targeted. Organizations such as America 250 and One Times Square had originally planned for a public New Year's Eve-style ball drop celebration for the 250th anniversary of the country to take place starting midnight, July 3rd. However, due to permit restrictions and resource concerns, it will still occur, as in the ball will drop as planned, but it will no longer be a public event in Times Square and instead will shift to a limited, ticketed in-person experience inside the One Times Square building, but will be broadcast for remote viewing. Well, if you're in New York City,
I've got to tell you, I'm so impressed with you.
Let's see.
You guys voted for Zohran Mamdani, what? He's been in office, what, a month and a half? When I said you guys were going to get a communism, Sharia law speed run, I completely underestimated this man's efficiency. He is a pedal to the floor, okay? You guys are about to get a 10% property tax increase?
Wow.
Yes, I know that's dependent on whether or not, you guys tax the rich and, tax those corporations. They're not going to do that. Oh my God, you guys are so good. As you walk to your price-hiked public transportation, and you can just hear the call to prayer reverberating off the walls of your city, do you just look up at the skyline and think, this is exactly what I wanted? I would have to say one thing. This Zohran Mamdani guy sure knows how to get rid of the homeless.
Wow.
And I gotta tell you, actually, right before I opened this app, I saw that he's defunding the police. He's getting rid of 5,000 new police hires.
Wow.
Guys, unbelievable. I'm so pumped. The vibes are gonna be sick. Okay, in all honesty, I find New York City incredibly charming. Every time I go, I find a new restaurant, a little diner. It's great. But I gotta tell you guys, when I see that there are debates happening whether or not you're allowed to have dogs, because some of the new arrivals from predominantly Muslim countries don't like dogs.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, I don't think this is gonna work out the way you wanted, but vibes are sick. Allahu Akbar. In other news, have you guys seen what Japan has done about a similar immigration situation? I knew those samurais were onto something. They know how to preserve culture.
Zohran Mamdani is using your hard-earned tax money to build a city-owned grocery store that you will have to pay to buy groceries in. And that's not even the worst part. It's costing $30 million and will not be ready until at least 2029. The man that ran on an affordability crisis doesn't seem to be that much in a hurry to make things more affordable. And that is even if all goes smoothly. So it could still potentially never happen, and he may not even be in office to see it through. New York City got by a socialist scammer.
And listen, when I say this, I say this as someone who's really from those parts. I do not care how much Mamdani taxes the rich until he starts doing more for the Long Island parts of the hood.
Okay.
And I don't mean like Long Island. I mean like real Brooklyn and Queens. Until he start really making shit move in like Rosedale, Springfield, Jamaica, Rochdale, South Queens, feel me? Until we see you doing shit in the Flossie and Canarsie and East New York, I don't want to hear it. I mean, yes,
First and foremost, I'll say that I made the decision to run for mayor, and in doing so, become an incredibly public figure. And this is also a decision that then has ramifications for those that I love and those that are around me. My wife made the decision to be an artist.
Okay.
And I think that these kinds of questions are part and parcel of what is coming with myself being the mayor of this city. But at the end of the day, it is my decision to be in this position. It is my responsibility to the people of New York City. I am grateful that much of the...
It's tax day in America, and Zohran Mamdani has managed to convince Kathy Hochul to tax New York City's rich. Remember, New York system means that New York City by itself cannot raise its own taxes. It has to get permission from the state in order to do that, which is why they've been pushing Kathy Hochul to actually raise taxes, so they can cover up the massive debt left by the previous administration without cutting social services. Now, Kathy Hochul is of course a centrist Democrat, so the way that she is elected to go about this is hopelessly Kamala Harris-pilled. She is putting a tax on $5 million plus second homes owned by out-of-state residents. That is, maybe you live in California or Pennsylvania or Illinois, and you're like, hey, I've got a couple of stacks to spare. Why don't I buy a $7 million home in New York City that I'll live in for like a couple of months per year? That home is now eligible to be taxed. You would think that this does not apply to that many people, and yet the state is going to rake in $500 million every single year just by this tax alone. First,
So today here in New York City, the mayor Zohran Mamdani called protester Jake Lang a white supremacist, but he failed to mention that the two men who threw literal bombs at him are two Muslims, and he didn't even call them terrorists. He actually didn't even condemn that. But meanwhile, here in New York City, you also have all these people. This is the famous Canal Street. And look, now they start freaking out because I put a camera on their face. But they sell all this stuff, counterfeit goods. Meanwhile, all this madness is happening here in New York City. Nothing ever gets solved. They let criminals do whatever. Whether you say this is criminal or not, it is. They're selling fraudulent goods, not paying taxes on it. Meanwhile, you're working hard right now. But these guys are able to make loads of cash and pocket it all in their pocket without ever even having to pay tax. So then watch, as soon as I put a camera on any of these fraudsters, these scammers, watch how they just freak out. How much? Show your face? No face? How come?
Wow.
How come?
Here's this goofball. When I was telling everybody that Mamdani was a communist, they did not believe me. So I got some proof. As of right now, Mamdani's housing director, right? This is exactly what she just said.
We are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently. And it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
So with her saying that, right, it's basically saying if you're white, or even a person of color, you see how she tried to sneak that in quietly? If you own anything in New York, like a building, home, or anything like that, we're gonna keep you in New York City, right? You can't sell your home unless we approve of it, and we give you a fair price.
What was supposed to be NYC's savior has now become NYC's worst nightmare. Good luck with y'all in Zoran.
Oh yeah, I never asked you about Mamdani.
He's not Muslim, bro.
He's not Muslim.
Allah knows best. He's not. No.
What is he?
First of all, he's of the Shia faith, which is a minority sect, okay?
Mamdani's mayor in New York.
So everything's free now. Can I get the Mamdani special? 1 free hot dog?
Mamdani? What's a Mamdani?
Free hot dog special. Everything's free now.
That'll be $4.68.
No, it's supposed to be free. It's Mamdani's New York now, everything's free.
According to who?
Well, I'm not going to pay for it. Just get one of these, I'll get this, and I'll get a Kit Kat. Thank you.
Hey, what are you doing?
Everything's free now.
I ain't nothing free, man.
Is this one of those Mamdani grocery stores where everything's free?
No.
No? So I have to pay?
Yes.
New mayor, they told me.
Whatever it is not a government owned.
Oh, it's not
Wow.
Can I get a free ride to Central Park?
Where you going?
Whoa. It's free, it's transport.
But the subway's free?
So runs New York City. Come on, jump over there and get the door for me.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you, bro.
No,
Thank
no
you.
worries.
Yeah, thank you.
Mamdani's
grocery price.
I am proud to announce that we will open every single one of these stores by the end of our first term. And the first one will open next year.
When the store will be open. So let me go with that. This store will be open in 2029.
I am proud to announce that we will open.
Are constantly attacked by politicians for standing up for Palestine, and you.
We already see an exodus of working and middle-class New Yorkers. So I don't have a hesitation in asking those who make the most amount of money in the city or the most profits in the city to pay a little bit more so that everyone can actually stay in this city.
Wow. Dude, they're leaving New York City because of you.
We now have an answer to the question, is New York City just doing good social media posts about service delivery, or is service delivery actually changing? The plot is showing us New York City Department of Transportation pothole closures 2024 to 2026. The blue line is 2026. And you can see that in March of 2026, the blue line is a lot greater than these two faint lines, which represent 2024 and 2025. Their source is New York City Open Data. They say March 2026 is the highest single month since at least 2020. I think.
When Mamdani was running for mayor of New York, he talked the talk about wanting to tax the rich. But is he gonna walk the walk? The answer is yes, as he has just introduced a new tax that will only be taxing the rich. Let's break down how it works. It's called a
Mamdani on a bike.
Hello! Oh my god.
Mamdani! What's up, King? Ooh, I want a free bag of chips. Oh, can I get a free bag of chips?
Thank you for being our most iconic mayor. Thank you.
All right, now.
Hi, Mayor.
Yes.
Hi, Mayor. Nice to meet you. Can you say this for my TikTok? Say hey to my TikTok.
What's your ops? Zoran Mamdani wins election. And
It is a goal of our administration to lower the speed limit across the city to 20 miles an hour. That, however, is something that can only be done with a local law change to the city administrative code. And we do support the city council taking those efforts.
Just so I understand, you need a home rule message from the city council, and then you have to have Albany pass it, or can you do it just by the city council?
Just by the city council is my
And
understanding.
will you be asking the city council to do that?
We do support that, yes. It is a goal of our administration.
This building behind me is where Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani leased his rent-stabilized apartment. Mamdani will leave his Astoria apartment when he gets sworn in as mayor on New Year's. Mamdani was paying $2,300 a month, which was the preferential rent, not the legal maximum rent that the landlord could have charged when he moved into the apartment 7 years ago. Although Mamdani only paid $2,300, the maximum rent-stabilized legal rent is $3,100, which is the current ask for the apartment. Ever since the FAIR Act went into effect in June, which required the owner to pay the broker fee, a lot of apartments have been listed off-market and are not available on sites such as StreetEasy. Can you imagine going from a rent-stabilized apartment in Astoria with your motorcade to Gracie Mansion which has an estimated value of $100 to $150 million.
Okay.
Sometimes the maximum legal rent for a rent-stabilized apartment is slightly above what the market dictates, so therefore managements will lease the unit slightly below the maximum rent they're able to charge.
When did this happen?
I can't remember exactly the year.
A year?
It's more than years.
Mayor Zohran Mamdani inspecting broken floor tiles in an apartment on Clarkson Avenue in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, getting a first-hand look at the deteriorating conditions, from an eroding bathtub surface to a rust-covered, corroded bathroom pipe and red paint splashed about.
And you told the landlord about this?
Yes.
And what was the response?
Called some numbers, but nobody want to do anything about it.
Residents in this same building and in others owned by the landlord Pinnacle Realty say they've experienced similar conditions, from leaking bathroom ceilings to moldy drywall. Tenant unions rallying in response, demanding stronger tenant protections.